Hello and welcome to Asa Smiles. I am your host, Asa. Thank you for joining us today. Today is August 9th. Here in New York City, it is 3:45 p.m. and it is gorgeous, except we are fixing to get that big old storm from the hurricane that just went through Florida. So the wind's blowing pretty good, but all's good. We need the rain, right? All right, so let's shout out a big, gigantic thank you to my son for our music on our podcast because he is the one who writes all of the music. So, bravo, bravo, bravo. Thank you so much. I love you to the moon and back, son. Anyways, so let's move on here and start looking at what we got going on today. Today is a very special day because today is Leanne Marie Hausberg's birthday. She is 40 today. Wow. That's just mind-boggling, isn't it? So, listen, we've got all kinds of stuff to talk about, but I want to make sure that we give this huge shout out to Leanne Hausberg. This podcast is for her, Leanne. If you hear this, we all just want to know that you're okay, and that's all. That's all anybody wants. It doesn't matter where this life has taken you. The family loves you and wants to know that you're okay. So if you hear this, Leanne, please reach out. You can reach out to us at JC Cares, even if you're not wanting to be found, etc., etc., etc. That's okay. You can call us at 929-406-3527, and we can keep you completely anonymous. And if anybody has any idea of what happened with Leanne, please reach out. We would really love to talk to you. So let's talk about Leanne's case a little bit here. We have been really busy on Leanne's case because I have put a new team together working just on Leanne's case, which comprises of New York, New Jersey, California, and Arkansas. And we also have someone in Minnesota who's working on the case. So we have people all over the U.S. working on Leanne's case right now. So Leanne Marie Hausberg went missing on March 18th, 1999 out of Brooklyn, New York, where she lived with her mother and her father and her two younger sisters. Now, Leanne is biracial. She is American Indian and Caucasian. She could easily be mistaken to have Hispanic heritage, but she's not. She's American Indian. So, anyways, the story with Leanne started on that day, March 18th, 1999, when she got up early in the morning. She made a phone call to a car service here on the island, and she got in that car, and no one has heard from her since. She didn't take anything with her. She even left behind her hidden prized diary. in which she talked about a lot of things. A lot of things. And I can't see this as being something that a young lady who was leaving home for good was going to leave behind, with all her most personal thoughts, things she had done, her friends. I mean, it had everything in it. So, yeah, most of the time, you look at what, if it's a runaway situation, you look at what they have taken with them. And she didn't take that. She didn't take anything, really. So, not anything that would set off alarm bells to anybody. She didn't clean out her closets, pack a suitcase, all that stuff. None of that happened. Now, according to this car service, they just dropped her off on the street somewhere, and that was that. Give me a break. There's a lot of things wrong with this story. And for a young girl to get in a car and just disappear is very, very suspicious. Very suspicious. Now, there's a lot of people who talk about the fact that Leanne was going through a lot of emotional stuff when this all took place, and that is true. So let's discuss what happened in Leanne's family. September 28th of 1998, Leanne's mom, Robin, was only 34 years old at the time, had a massive stroke. A massive stroke. Life-altering massive stroke. And that was approximately 6-7 months before Leanne disappeared. Because Leanne went missing March 18th, 1999, and the stroke was in September 28th, 1998. Leanne's dad was leaning on her heavily, by his own admission, to help pick up the slack. The family was in a quandary, and there was 2 younger siblings. Mom was bedridden. There was a lot going on, and since Leanne was a teenager, she was expected to help pick up the slack, help with her mom, and help with her little sisters, while her father, Alan, continued to work to support the family. There was a lot going on. And by his own admission, Alan was hard on Leanne. He expected her to help him. Look, I don't know really how it was in Alan's family when he was a youngster, but I can say this much: in my family, if something like that happened, you are expected to step up and help your family, no matter how old you are. So, it was nothing to me as a teenager to know that I had to help with something. That's just how it was. That was how we were raised, where we grew up, and, how things went back then. Is that a good thing? No, it's not. But you live and you learn. They were doing the best that they could at the time. Robin was very, very sick. Alan was devastated, about Robin's stroke, he still sounds devastated when he talks about Robin's stroke. It really was a difficult time for their family. And so Leanne was going through a lot emotionally as well. I'm sure she was going through, mom is so sick and I got to help her and I got to take care of my baby sisters while dad's working and I'm going to high school. I'm just trying to be a 14-year-old teenager and just, mature and grow myself. And then I have all these other responsibilities that I need to help with, and it became too much for her. And so a lot of people have surmised that Leanne ran away. She was angry. She was angry at the whole situation. And look, you know what? At 14 years old, when you have life-altering stuff like that going on in your family, you can't blame her. You can't blame her. She was just a kid. She didn't know how to cope. She did not know how to cope. When your parent gets sick like that, it's very difficult to cope with that. And then have a lot of responsibility. It's difficult for adults to deal with their parents getting sick. I was 21 years old when my mom became very ill and started having very bad vascular problems. She was diabetic. She was a smoker. And she ended up dying at the young age of 45 years old because her body just could not sustain anymore. She had to have a leg amputated. It was terrible. And look, at the time that this happened, my mom had many brothers and sisters, 5 brothers and sisters. And at the time that this happened, her mom, of course, was still alive. Her dad, her brothers and sisters, they were all still alive. And I was the only child of my mom. And I had 2 children at home, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, and a infant. I had to think for a second because I was thinking to myself, my middle son was just a year and a half old when my mom passed away. So, but anyways, through this illness my mom had, he was just a toddler. He was just a baby, infant. So anyway, nobody else in my family, like aunts, uncles, of course, grandma, grandpa, stuff like that, none of them had any children. I had children that I had to take care of. And, I was in school and I was working and I had 2 kids. So I was in college full time. I was working full time. And I had 2 kids and a nanny. And everybody in my family expected me to drop everything I was doing and take care of my mom. Because she was my mom. And I, to this day, don't understand that. I remember my mom being in the critical care unit in the hospital, and she was intubated and everything else. And here I have a newborn baby and my son, and they're sitting in the lobby in critical care because, children can't go in there. I had nobody with me. I had no one to help me, no one to watch them while I went in and stayed with my mom at bedside. And my family was angry at me because I wouldn't stay at the hospital at bedside with my mom 24 hours a day. And I couldn't. Would they offer to watch the children so that I could? No. But they expected me, even though I had no one to watch the kids then, they expected me to do that. It becomes just, that's the way we were raised, you know? So I bring that up because when I think about Leanne, I remember that. I remember what was expected of me as an adult and thinking to myself, come on, you guys, get into reality here. I want to be with my mom. Why don't you take the kids? I will gladly stay with her. But none of you want to babysit the kids. So, so it was like, here, I need you to do this. We need you to do that. We need you to, and it was very overwhelming for me. And I was 20 some years old. So you can imagine at 14, I could sit here and think to myself and remember where I was when I was 14 and how that just would have been devastating for me at 14. It was devastating enough losing my father at 21 and then my mom at 26. So it was, there were some traumatic things going on, and it has affected me in ways my whole life. But I was able as an adult to, get help with that, talk about it, work through it, and do a lot of things for self-healing where I could get to a place where I could feel better about those different things that happened to me when I was younger. So what I'm getting at here is that there's a lot of people who believe that Leanne was so upset about everything going on, she ran away from home. Maybe that's true. Maybe she just had it and she was leaving. I remember many times at 14 years old thinking, I've had it. I am so out of here. As soon as I get the chance, I am out of here. You'll be sorry. That's how that happens as youngsters. We see it every single day in this country. The problem that I have with this case is that nobody has ever seen her or heard from her since. There's no trace of her. Nothing. Nothing on paper, nothing on the computer, nothing. No records, no Social Security movement, nothing. Never had a job, nothing. So what that tells me is that we got a problem. Because youngsters run away all the time, but that don't mean they just disappear off the face of the earth. Unfortunately, here in this city, in New York City, and other cities, major cities all over the country, but let's talk about New York City right now. There is a lot of trafficking that goes on. There is a lot of human trafficking, sex trafficking, trafficking, you talk about it, it's here. Whatever kind you want to talk about. Drug, sex, human, people don't even realize how prevalent human trafficking is now. You're a bunch of Hispanic people trying to come to this country to get away from, the evils going on in your country and protect your family and your children, and you come here and next thing you know, you're swooped up in this truck and you're put out on this farm somewhere. You're making a nickel a day on being, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. They're getting paid slave wages. Um, they have no idea what's going on. That's human trafficking. They're working them like dogs for nothing. But you know what? Those people are doing it because they are terrified to go back to their country of origin for fear of being unalive, right? So, you know what I'm saying when I say there's all kinds of trafficking going on here. And in New York City, it's right at the top of the list with other major cities in this country of cases of trafficking going on. Look at the Epstein case. We still don't know how many children were affected by the Epstein case. And we're working on that really hard, going through all of that information. But Leanne just didn't disappear off the face of the earth, never to speak to her sisters, her mother, or her dad ever again. You can't convince me that in any way, shape, or form. So, what happened to her? Well, we know that there was a predator hanging around the school, giving all the young girls expensive gifts. He gave Leanne an expensive watch. And then when Leanne went home and mom and dad saw that watch, they said, ha ha ha, no. You are too young to be accepting gifts of this magnitude from anybody, from any young man. You're 14. You have to give that back. But she wasn't the only one receiving gifts from him. And why was this grown man? Because, see, all of these young girls, whether they know it or not, and I think some did know, this was an adult man. This was not a teenager. He told people he was, but he was not. He was an adult man. So, and what I find interesting is that he says that he was the manager of operations at this car service at the time. So how could he not know who the dispatcher was, who the driver of the car was, where she went, etc., etc., etc. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense at all. So I believe that when Leanne left her house that morning, she did it thinking that she would be with somebody she trusted. She went with someone she trusted. She didn't have any fear. And I certainly don't think that she thought that she was never coming back. No way. Especially now, since, you know, there's stuff all over the internet about her, and her sisters are searching diligently for her. And, you know, if you're on the internet, you're going to eventually see it, you know, and it's been 25 years. So, I mean, you would think that she would see that they're looking for her. And one of her sisters was very ill with cancer for a while. And, you know, I can't imagine that Leanne would see that kind of stuff going on and not reach out to her family. Unless she was taken away, given a new identity completely, and, maybe she feels bad or ashamed or, which if Leanne, if you listen to this, I hope that's not what you think, because this family will never give up searching for you. So I don't know how else anybody could think that would happen. It's been over 2 decades and they are still strongly looking for you. So if you hear this, just let us know. But anyway, so if that's the case, if she went with somebody she trusted and then something bad happened to her, then we want to know that too. We want to know that too. Because then we want justice for her. Right? And that's what we do at JC Cares. We don't just help find people. We help them get justice if something has happened to them. And then we're going to stay with it until we figure that out. So we got all kinds of people working on Leanne's case right now. And we will eventually find out what happened. It used to be a long, long time ago that if you had no body, you had no case. That's not true anymore. That's just not true anymore. Now, all you need is enough evidence to bring a grand jury indictment. So, we need everybody to reach out and help us keep putting the puzzle pieces back together of what happened to Leanne that day. And we're committed to doing that. So, Leanne, happy birthday. You're on my mind today, all day. And I am committed, and so is this organization, to finding out where you're at, and what happened to you. And I ask everybody, as always, to please continue reaching out with whatever information you may have. Give this family some peace. For the love of God. Why not? It's been over 2 decades. Why not give their minds some peace? They deserve that. So I ask everybody to please continue to reach out about Leanne's case. Check out all the videos online about Leanne, because look, they're everywhere. Alan is tireless, and so are Leanne's sisters. They're both very tireless about searching for Leanne. And Mom never gives up hope. I know that it was conveyed to me by Alan that every year they buy a birthday cake and they celebrate Leanne's birthday. And even though Robin and Alan are no longer married, they are still friends, and they are still joined together in searching for their daughter. And so they do this birthday party every year in Leanne's honor. So I have not bothered them today. I spoke with Alan last night at some length, and he was feeling very down, and as can be expected. So anyway, Alan, you're in our thoughts and prayers. The whole family is in our thoughts and prayers. They've been very active in getting Leanne's story out there. So they're just an amazing family. They really are. And I appreciate them and all their efforts looking for their daughter like they are. So anyway, happy birthday, Leanne. We love you. We are never going away. We're going to figure it out. Okay, everyone, say a little prayer for us today that something happens, that somebody else comes forward. We got some stuff going on. The case is moving, but it's moving very slow. But it just takes thing, that one person, just one little bitty person to come forward, one little bitty person to think to themselves that, geez, I really don't want to put Leanne's family through anymore. This may not be a big deal, but let me call JC Cares and talk with Asa and tell her what I do know or what I do remember. And when that happens, this will be off and running again. It'll be steaming forward, and we'll be here for it. So, and it does happen. It happens all the time. It's happening right now in the case of Eric Alvarado. Granted, he's not been missing 25 years, but he's been missing 6, 7. So, close enough. It's a long time. But you know what? People are starting to realize that Eric's family is suffering still. And people are starting to come forward and say, you know what? Enough is enough. And it happens in these cases. So you just got to hit the right nerve somewhere, the right person, and somebody's going to say something. Because people don't just disappear into thin air. It doesn't happen. Somebody knows something, right? You hear that a gazillion times. Somebody knows something. Yep, they do. So anyways, having said all that, Eric Alvarado's case is popping off right now. Stay tuned on that. And Leanne's is moving forward, although sluggish, it is. So that's good. And our other cases are just taking some time to get through all of this. I haven't been able to catch up with everybody else on other cases and see where we're at. So I gotta get some time to do that. But the Alvarado case has really been moving lately. So we've been extremely busy working on that case. And then we got the other team set up for Leanne's case. And so we've got all kinds of cases right now. We're just trying to do the best we can to help with whatever we can. Anyway, I think I'll close this out for today. That's also, let me say real quick, that's also why I haven't been on here making any podcasts lately, is because we have been just slammed. And I'm okay with that. I don't need to make podcasts. I make the podcast to help. I don't need to make the podcasts. I would rather have the phone calls coming in, the evidence rolling in. That's why we do the podcasts. So if we're not on here for a week or so, it's because we're working on a case and something's going on, and we'll be back. But think of it as a good thing. We've got stuff going on. That means evidence is coming in. That means we're working with people, and so we don't have time to do a podcast. If I've got time to do a podcast, then it's quiet. Quiet doesn't stay very long when you're doing this kind of work. So it's all right. It's all right. I do it because I want to. So anyways, we'll go ahead and close this out for today, you guys. Thank you so much for being here and listening to our podcast and getting our information out. We appreciate you. We love you guys so much and appreciate all your support. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And as always, smile. It's contagious. We love you. So long for now.